SoFi CEO Anthony Noto has purchased $5 million worth of shares, increasing investor trust. So, should you buy the stock? Stay focused as we go through recent news as well as my chart analysis and price prediction. But before we do that, subscribe to our channel Stox 101 for regular stock market updates. SoFi's price has been falling for a long time now as they continue to burn cash, but the company's short-term results are not an issue for the team as they keep buying at these low prices. Anthony Noto has made 22 purchases of his company's stock, and almost all of these were around quarterly result announcements. The earnings are still in the red, but the revenue is growing, which is a good sign for the future. And in our opinion, the CEO's purchase indicates that he trusts his company and his own leadership. With all that in mind, let's analyze the chart. So as you guys can see right here, we're now in the 1-day chart for SoFi, and as always, we'll first analyze the 1-day chart, then the 1-hour chart, and to end it off, we'll get to the 5-minute chart. But right off the bat, we can see that we're down to a pre-market price of $4.61, which is about 1.91% in the red. Now, why did this happen? Well, there are two theories, right? First up, the technical one. We did get a pin bar candle to the lower side, so this downtrend was kind of expected if you ask me. Right, the pin bar candle, of course, that's pointing to the downside. It indicates higher selling pressure as compared to buying pressure, and that pretty much indicates that the next candle is likely gonna be on the downside. Right, but at the same time, there is another theory that in a lot of cases, when a stock gets a gap down, what happens is that after the gap down, the stock starts to go up. Right, this usually happens on a CPR strategy. Right, so what happens is that on the central pivot range, let's just assume that the central pivot is 4.65. Right, now this is completely just an assumption. So from 4.65, what will happen is that if we have the first or rather the LC, or rather the lower range, right, lower point, whatever you call that, at 4.6, right, and the first resistance at 4.55, if you get a gap down around here, right, between the LC and the first resistance, that's when you can kind of think that, hey, this is gonna go up, right, if you get an opening over here. And at the same time, it's the same over there on the upper side. So this is the TC, and this would be the first resistance. Well, this was the support, I'm sorry for that, right? So if you get over here, right, if you get a gap up over here, then you can expect a bearish trend. So in my opinion, what we're gonna do today is that since we already got a gap down, we might actually go up from over here and get another green candle. But the green candle, of course, won't be that big today if you ask me, right? So what's going to happen is, of course, we do have the good news, but it was kind of revealed on Twitter and some social media platforms like a few days ago, right? I personally did not check that, so that's my bad. And at the same time, we can see that we did get a massive gap up over here, which I'm personally thinking that it might have been because of that exact news that we just discussed in the previous part of this video. And what's going to happen next? Well, in my opinion, we can see that we did hold off this support pretty well at 4.25, and I honestly don't see SoFi falling below $4.25 because that would be way too low for this company, right? So if we look at the market cap, of course, the market cap is $4.36 billion, and falling below $4 would mean falling below $4 billion as well, and that is pretty unjustified in my opinion, so that probably won't happen, right? We probably should take a rebound anytime soon, right? Of course, the main contributing factor, like we always say in every SoFi video, is the fact that student loans are on a moratorium, and once that gets over, right, that's when really the sleeping giant can wake up. That's when SoFi can get into its complete form, and that's when I believe the stock will actually start going up. Until then, well, will the stock go up, right? Until then, I don't think the stock will go up like crazy, but yes, it will continue a sideways bullish trend in my opinion, right? People sooner or later will understand that the stock is good and this company is good, and I do expect that it will probably travel below the $6 range for an extended part of time, for an extended period of time, probably until June, I would say, right? So June, yeah, probably around that time. So I do think that we might travel around here until that time. And once we actually get the announcement that, the student loans will be um, finally continuing, right? The payments, of course, that have been paused, they'll be continuing. That's when SoFi will really start to rocket. And of course, I have already given you guys my price prediction of 1 year, which is somewhere between $8 and $10. So let's just say $9, right? I was earlier at an $8 figure, but I'm pretty much, my bullish trend, or rather my bullishness, if that's a word, has evolved, right? And at the same time, with the CEO buying $5 million worth of shares, it does make me more trusting of the company and, of course, Anthony's own leadership skills. But at the same time, if we want to see what's going on the smaller level, we have to jump on into the 1 hour chart. So let's do that. And now that we're in the 1 hour chart, we can see that over here we did get a sell-off on 13th, which was pretty crazy, but we eventually got a support at 4.35 pretty much. Right now, SoFi's support and resistance levels are working pretty linearly, I would say. So 4.35, 4.4, 4.45, right? 4.45, 4.5, just keep adding 5 cents and keep reducing 5 cents for the support, right? That's how it's going on. And of course, we are at a support over here, right? We did close off at a resistance at $4.7, a pretty important level, right? 4.8 is a bit more important than 4.7 if you ask me, but they're both important psychological levels. At the current level, 4.61, we are being supported by 4.6, of course, right? Will we fall below that? Well, there are two things to consider, right? First up, of course, we can see that when we got the gap up, right, we fell down. Again, we got a gap up, went up, again fell down. So in my opinion, the stock, of course, despite getting good announcements and good buying pressure, continues to be, I won't say manipulated, exactly, but probably manhandled would be a good word, right? So it continues to be manhandled by the short sellers and, of course, by those people who are spreading FUD, and that's pretty much it, right? I personally think that the stock has good potential, but we can see that even being stuck in this range over here, we did get pretty big VIX, right? So this can prove that despite getting good support and resistance, despite getting good buying and selling pressure, the stock does get volatile when it needs to, right? The stock does respond well to the market, right? So we cannot say that it has dry volumes. It definitely has good volumes. And with that, I don't think there's anything much left to analyze in the 1 hour chart. So let's quickly jump on into the most detailed one, which is the 5-minute chart. And now that we're in the 5-minute chart, we can see that right here, we did get some good patterns over here, right? So first we'll analyze the bull trend that we got in the market's first hour, right? So we can see that it was a pretty linear bull trend, right? Went up pretty small, normal pullback, right? An average pullback, went up, average pullback, went up, average pullback, got resisted, made somewhat of a triple top around 4.9, right? Got supported over here at 4.84 pretty much, right? Got resisted again 4.89, after which we continued to fall. Why did I draw that line? Let me delete it. Again, supported 4.75, strong level, right? 4.72. Then over here, 4.83, we did get resisted over there. And at the same time, support over here around 4.8, right? We've already discussed that level. And this was the major borderline support at 4.65. Now, what exactly is going on over here is that we did start off with a bullish trend, but then swing traders and day traders probably hit their target because we were already up by about 10%, which, well, it's great returns, right? Considering in just a single day, or for those people who bought it over here or below this level right before that day, probably a few more days, right? But at the same time, for the people who bought it over here, 10% returns in a single day is crazy, right? Even if I got that, I personally would have sold as well. Um, so considering that, I believe most people started selling over here when, once they hit their target. And at the same time, as we kind of close in on the $5 range, it will be difficult to get over here in these levels, right? So people started selling. Then once we got over here, people again started buying. And this right here is when we really got the big sell-off move, right? So after this, of course, we can see that we did get good support, right? There was a common resistance over here at 4.77, right? We made a double top pretty much over here and over here, right? We did end of the day in a pin bar candle on the upside, but we'll quickly jump on into the extended trading hours to see what's going on over there. On the pre-market, we can see that yes, in the aftermarket yesterday, we did kind of stay around the same level after getting some volatility, but this was an indication that a potential bear trend might, brew up, and we can see that so it did, right? The bearish trend brewed up. We're down 2.55%, right? Is there any news? No, there isn't, right? So, in my opinion, what's going to happen today is that we'll probably go down a bit and then recover. And I personally am thinking that the stock will probably recover and probably end the day around $4.7, right? So let me delete all of these drawings and mark just $4.7. So this is my prediction for the day. We'll probably go down a bit, but no matter what happens, I believe we might end the day off around $4.7. But at the same time, I could be wrong. So remember that this most definitely is not financial advice, and you should always do your own research before you trade. If, however, you enjoyed my analysis, be sure to hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, be sure to hit the dislike button. You can subscribe to our channel, Stox 101, for more such videos. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.